Yes, we're really excited to be here, really looking forward to the rest of today. We hope you are too. Yeah, we're here to talk about Hoodie. And this is one of the most exciting projects that I've been able to work on recently. So what is Hoodie? Hoodie is a very fast web app development architecture and platform. And the reason it's very fast is it means you can stop worrying about the back end. And we'll get to that in a bit. First of all, introductions. So my name's Caolan.
And the projector's cut off?
Unfortunately, Alex is slightly cut off there.
Do you think we can get that dealt with?
Can we do anything with the projector? Because we're going to be cutting off the bottom of the slides here.
Or can you change your resolution of this?
No, it's fine. Okay, anyway, my name's Caolan. You might recognize me from the async module, if you use Node.js, and various other things. I'm also part of the Hoodie team.
Right, and I'm Alex. You just trust me on that. I'm a freelance web developer from Berlin, but there's actually more of us. So there's Gregor, Lena, bottom left is Jan, bottom right is Sven. Also some quite prolific open source contributors on there. And now that you've met everyone, let me show you the incredibly detailed outline I've prepared of the talk we're going to give. It's basically why we're making it, and then we're going to show you how it works. So the basic thing is, if you're anything like me, you're not just a front-end or a back-end developer. You're probably more like a both-end developer, because at some point in your life, you're going to have to deal with both things at once. So whenever you're building a small app for yourself or a side project, a demo, experiments, prototypes, we're probably going to be doing it by ourselves as one person, which means sooner or later we're going to have to do backend, and sooner or later we're going to have to deal with these things. And backends are difficult, and many of these things are full-time jobs for people, and rightfully so, because you end up dealing with multiple languages and syntax and schemas and configs and lots of moving parts talking to each other, and deployment and having it locally and having it remotely, and lots of things that can go wrong, and security issues. And it's a big, complicated topic, and there's years of legacy knowledge, and you really have to have a lot of experience to wrangle all of this with any confidence. It's not easy to get into. And that's odd, really, because most of the basic requirements we have for web apps, and that most people have for web apps, they aren't really that exciting. It's the stuff people have been doing for ages. So what you want out of a web app at a very basic level is you want to sign up users and let them sign up and sign in and sign out and resend their own passwords. You want to be able to administer them if this is your app. You want a nice user interface where they're all listed and you can delete them or change their names or something. You, of course, want them to be able to save and load data, because otherwise, what's the point? You want to be able to let them share the data privately with each other or publicly with everyone. You want to maybe let them send an email or two, or even send one yourself. And finally, you want to let them pay you for the service, and you want to be able to receive payments. And that's not rocket science, really. It's not terribly interesting. In fact, actually, I think it's quite boring. So it's not new. It's not particle physics, and boring stuff shouldn't be hard, and it shouldn't take long, in our opinion. So why is it so much work to sign up a user? So imagine you have an idea and you want to build an app, you want to get started. Getting from having the idea to signing in the user, you have to do a lot of stuff to get there. So why is this so easy, changing a DOM element with jQuery, and signing in a user so much harder? Why can't we just do this from the client, from the browser? Well, it's 2013, and you can actually do this, and we're building it, and it's called Hoodie, and that's real code. And to show you that it works, we're going to have a little demo now.
Okay, so this is the demo app we're going to build, but before we make a start, I'm just going to see if I can get it to all appear on the same screen. This is my hack.
Excellent.
Oh, too far. That'll do. Okay. Great. So we have a demo application. We can kind of draw stuff. Whoa. I'm using a ThinkPad, so I'm drawing with a little nipple. That's not something I say every day, but so you'll have to excuse my slightly surreal, weird artwork. Great, so we can draw stuff. I can refresh the page, and unfortunately my drawing's gone, so we don't really have any persistence or anything yet. We also have some other features. So there's some kind of session stuff up the top. We have a clear button and download and some other things we'll get to in a minute. So the point is we're starting off with an application that is completely front-end. It's just kind of a prototype, an idea, something that we would like to build, and we're hinting at the features we would like to have in the final application with the UI. So the first thing that we would probably want to do is have user accounts. If we're going to be able to save drawings and things, it'd be great to have it associated with the user so that I can make a different drawing to Alex. So we're going to dive into Hoodie and hook up the session stuff.
So we got it there basically because we don't want to be writing selectors in front of a live audience. All we're doing is we're taking the sign-up form and the two form fields we have in there, one for username, one for password, putting them in variables, and then we're using the exact code we just had on the slide. So Hoodie has an account object, and in that account object, there's what you would expect. There's a method called signup, and it takes the arguments you would expect, namely a username and a password. And that's actually it. That's all you have to do. So let's try it out.
Yep, so I've refreshed the page. Click Create Account. This model's just showing using the bootstrap kind of attributes. So that's LXJS. And we're signed in. And it's that easy. I mean, think about the process that you might normally go through to do accounts and sign up, sign out, create account, all that sort of session stuff. Well, it's just done. It's that straightforward.
So we won't go through doing sign out and the sign in button because it's really just as easy and we don't want to waste your time, so we put that in a different file, but that actually works. But so that still doesn't solve, the problem that we don't have persistence yet. So.
Yeah, so I'm signed in, and I've made another beautiful drawing. But if I refresh the page, it's gone. So the next thing I would like to do is have some persistence. So thankfully with Hoodie, we can actually write straight to a database on the server and all this kind of stuff that's normally very complicated and means setting up MySQL or whatever other trendy database you use is now going to be really straightforward.
So to do this, we're going to have two steps. So when we refresh the page or sign in, we want everything, all the paths we've drawn to show, but to do that beforehand, we have to actually save all the paths. So from the path drawing code we have somewhere else, all we do is call this method every time a path finishes, and then we store it. So Hoodie has a store object, and the store object has an add method. You just add an object to the store. And it is, again, very simple. It takes two attributes, namely a type, which is in this case path, and a JSON object, which is also called path, confusingly. But anyway. And the thing is, those are both completely arbitrary. So we didn't go anywhere and configure this beforehand and say, yeah, this is the data types we're going to have, and this is the schema they're going to adhere to, or something. It's completely on the fly, arbitrary. As long as you give Hoodie valid JSON to eat, it's going to be happy. So that's storing stuff. And as this file executes, we want to show all the stuff we have. So all we do is ask the Hoodie store to find all objects of type path. And once it's done, we just iterate through them, send them to a draw path function we have somewhere else, so they get drawn to the canvas. And that, again, is it. So that should now work.
Okay, so another masterpiece. If I refresh the page, great, it persists. So I can even log in on another machine, and we get the same drawing across devices. The only problem is, if I'm logged in on two machines at the same time, maybe I'm drawing on my tablet and my phone, as well as my laptop, then they're going to get out of sync. So what we really need is a synchronization mechanism. So it would be great if we had events for every time we made a change to the drawing so that we could synchronize all the devices. And normally, this would be quite a complicated thing to build into your web app. You have to kind of trigger events when the database changes, emit them to the front end. You have to be listening using long polling or WebSockets or something like that. But with Hoodie, it's built in and it's very easy.
Okay, so what Hoodie does, every time something changes in the data store, it emits an event. So if data gets added, if data gets removed, if data gets changed, there's events. And you can just listen to the store just like you would with jQuery, basically, with on. And what we're doing is we're listening for all events of type add that apply to objects of type path. So every time a path gets added, this event listener fires. And that if loop is just so we don't draw the thing again on the client that actually drew it itself, because then we'd have two. We only want it to be drawn on the clients that didn't actually draw that path. That's all that little thing does.
So let's try it out. Okay. Okay, so I'm signed in 2 windows. You can see my image has been slightly pushed off the page, but as I make a change here, it appears in the other one. And it was that easy to be able to synchronize across devices and have near real-time collaboration. So that's pretty fun. Unfortunately, things are getting a little messy now. I can't really see the face I drew. It would be great if I could clear it. So we have this button down the bottom. So let's jump back into the code and have a go at hooking that up.
So we're going to use a slightly different approach, but it's also going to use store events. So first of all, we're just going to make the button work. So whenever you click on the clear button, we're going to tell the Hoodie store to clear all objects of type path. Now we can do this because every store is specific to the currently logged in user. So everything's private by default. You can't accidentally share anything that belongs to other people. You can't accidentally delete anything. It's all cool. It's all encapsulated. Second thing we do, because we want this to happen on all clients, we don't trigger the cleaning of the canvas to the click. We trigger it when the store event fires for removing all the paths. So this is quite similar to what we did up there, just with remove. And again, that should just work.
So I'll just reload each window, and hopefully when I click clear, great.
Very nice.
So it's that simple. We can just start manipulating the database, and the events will just trickle through to all clients. We also have a couple of other features here. So it would be great if after I drew one of these hideous things, that I could export it and kind of keep a copy. So we're going to have a look at the download button next.
So this next bit actually has nothing to do with Hoodie at all. It doesn't use any Hoodie functionality, but it uses a small helper function that just lets us get everything from the canvas and turn it into file. So you have to scroll up a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just about. Let me just put some new lines in. There we go.
Yeah, so this is just to introduce you to this get drawing function. So there's no Hoodie code in here. It's just get the drawing, turn it into a PNG, and tell the browser to download it.
By the way, it's amazing that we can just do this in the front end now. I love that. So I refresh, click download. It's looking good. Oh, it was looking good. How do I get this?
Yay.
Somehow it's even scarier when it's transparent. I don't know why.
Sorry.
So I'll close that. Great, so now we can kind of export the drawing really easily. It would be amazing if I could share it. So after I've kind of drawn a spooky face, it would be good if I could send it to Alex and freak him out.
Yeah.
So we have this share button down here, and it's got a little envelope which kind of indicates maybe we're going to email it. So this isn't something that you would normally think about doing from the browser, but it is exactly the kind of thing that we want to make possible with Hoodie.
Because we're really envisioning that if you're building a web app and running a web app, you'll want to be sending emails, and we want to make that just as easy as all the other stuff. So how emailing works with Hoodie is currently you go into the Hoodie's admin panel and you configure an email service. Currently, this email service is Gmail. It's the one thing that works currently, but we're adding more. So you give Hoodie your Gmail credentials, and then it can just send emails in your name. You could have other services, your own SMTP server somewhere, whatever you like at some point. Should be cool, but right now, that's just how it works. Need some new lines as well.
Okay.
Sorry. So you can basically send multi-part emails with text and HTML. We're only going to send text for brevity. And, of course, you can also add attachments. And that attachments thing uses the same getDrawing method we had previously for the download. Right.
Okay,
nice.
it's looking pretty good. I think this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. I love this. So now's the fun part, because we have to rely on kind of a Wi-Fi connection, but let's be brave and give it a go. So first of all, I'm going to log into Gmail. Come on, network. Oh.
Go, go, go.
Success.
That's good.
Great. So if I click share,
It's the most exciting thing I've done in a long time.
I'm not worried. This is, I'm totally 100% confident this is going to arrive now.
Doobie-doo.
Yep.
No. Yes.
Oh. Smiley face.
Awesome.
Amazingly, we didn't have another slide that said nope. So we were feeling pretty optimistic about that final demo.
Yeah.
So what we've just done is we've gone through a really basic web app. We can do some drawing. And we thought it would be nice if we could have users and persistence, and we could synchronize across devices to collaborate, and we could download an email. And all those things we've just managed to do in, what, less than 10 minutes. So that's not the kind of productivity that I'm used to as a web developer. I mean, I think that's incredible. But what I want you to take away from the demo is not just that, you know, hoodies, oh, it's a really fast way of writing web apps, but it is. What I really want to convey is this idea that we can do all kinds of things in browsers now. Maybe it's time we kind of thought about some of the traditional stuff that we always assumed was back-end, and thought about how do we expose that in a way that you can write an entire application from the front end. And so what I really want you to take away is to just think differently about the way we write web apps, and can we make it more accessible, easier, and faster.
So you've seen, wait, back.
Sorry.
You've seen how quick this is. So this means this is amazing for rapid prototyping. You can just skip the user testing with wireframes bit. You can just build a prototype that uses actual data and real devices given to your testers and go. It's really that fast and that simple. But it's not only really fast, it's also much more accessible. So we're not the only ones who've noticed how cool the browser has become. So it's not just looking at documents. It's the cool application runtime you really want. It gets getting better by the day. It's networked. It's cross-platform. Everyone's used one. Most people have one in their pocket. And it makes it a perfect place to learn general-purpose computing, allowing people to build for an environment they already use and know. And we want to make full-stack development in the browser possible for a much broader range of people at much more different skill levels, basically. We want to radically lower the barrier to entry to doing this, not only for developing stuff, but also for setting it up. So the setup time with Hoodie is ridiculous. The time from idea to being able to sign in a user is a minute at most. And we think this kind of simplification is really important because the web isn't just for web developers, it's for everyone. And we want to build tools that appeal to everyone, not just to people like us. This ties in quite well to Aral's talk. So let's just recap what we're trying to do. So we want to have full-stack web app development that's as simple to use as jQuery. That's JavaScript all the way through, so the backend's Node, the front end's, of course, JavaScript. Data is JSON everywhere, so that's nice. It stores data locally in local storage, and later it will use PouchDB, and remotely it's currently using CouchDB. And that's nice because we get to delegate all the difficult syncing part to a different development team, and we don't have to worry about it, so that's really cool. It's also offline first, which means you can just lose your connection. Your app will still work. It will store data locally. As soon as the connection is regained, it'll just sync. That's really nice. And what we're working on right now is a flexible NPM-based plugin system that lets you extend the front-end library, the back-end in Node, and the admin panel as well, which means you'll be getting a beautiful extensible admin panel. And that should also include super easy deployment. So our goal for the end is that there's actually just a button that says deploy in your admin panel and you're done. So that should be cool. And a promise in the end is that it's by humans for humans. So we're not just exposing existing technology to the front end, we're doing user-centered API design and really want to implement from what we think is a good and intuitive way to work. So wrapping up, Hoodie is open source, and you can't read the GitHub repo because it's under the thing, but that's all right. You'll find it, which means it'll be always free. You can try it out now. You can join up. It's a developer preview, so things are broken, things will change, but it's a good time to get in on the whole thing, definitely. And this is where you can find us, hood.ie. We're Hoodie HQ on Twitter and Hoodie on Freenode. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.